Good morning and welcome back here to Just the News AM. I'm Carrie, Sheffield, and glad you're with us. Well, you might have recently heard, thanks to President Trump, about this issue of critical race theory. And my next guest, she's been at the forefront of this issue now for decades, though. So she's got a wealth of information. She personally was a victim of attacks of people who were saying that she is a white supremacist. And guess what? She's an African-American woman, and she joins me here on the couch. She's Dr. Carol Swain. She's the founder of Be the People News and the host of Conversations with Dr. Carol Swain. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Carrie.
So I want to play a clip for our viewers about a recent conversation that you had on this issue. It's a very interesting controversy, because everything's a controversy these days, at the Smithsonian. So let's take a look.
All right. The Smithsonian, they had an exhibit that talked about hard work and getting to places on time and standard English and all of those things that help make for our success, that those things were part of the white oppression. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard of. And when I think about when I went to college and when you went to college, you know, there was nonsense. Not so much when I went to college, but I'm sure you encountered some of the nonsense, but now they're saying that blacks can't do standard English, they shouldn't be asked. I mean, how does that help our society?
Well, the short answer is that it doesn't. I find this remarkably racist, by the way, as a teacher and executive at a well-known black college. I can tell you, when we have our leadership meetings at Kentucky State, and this is the same at Howard, Morehouse, our rival center, I mean, people are expected to be there on time with a tie on. So I think any black or Asian or Hispanic businessman in the world would be amazed to hear this standard. But I mean, one sentence, if you decide that all gaps in performance are due to racism, then the things that cause them have to be whiteness, right? Being on time, that's being white.
That's Wilford Riley, who's a member of the 1776 Unites group, to which you're a member as well, founded by Bob Woodson, who we had on this program last week. But he said this thing about if you have certain behaviors, that's white, and you took issue with this.
I certainly take issue with it, because it seems like we have gone backwards when it comes to race relations. During my generation, we wanted equal opportunity. We wanted to be able to get into places to show what we could do. And now, all of a sudden, when we are so prosperous, when black people are in positions of power throughout our society, all of a sudden, these affluent black kids are demanding lowered standards. And so it's a reversal, and the progressives, the white progressives who push it and go along with it, they are the true racists. They've always been racist.
And this phrase, the soft bigotry of low expectations, that was something that George W. Bush would say over and over again. And Democrats hated that phrase because they said that this is George W. Bush being racist again.
Well, Carrie, you're probably too young to remember this, but some years ago, the president of Rutgers University, who was a big pro-affirmative action proponent, he was recorded talking to his faculty about it being unfair to expect the same standards from a group that was genetically incapable. He used genetically, and blacks defended that. And it's so racist that many of the progressives really do believe that blacks are not able to achieve. But if you look at what blacks accomplished coming out of slavery and during the period before affirmative action, blacks were making huge strides, and the affirmative action movement was never about lowered standards or special benefits. It was about equal opportunity and non-discrimination. And with the critical race theory, what's taken place with diversity, equity, inclusion programs, it is reverse racism against whites. I believe it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and the 1964 Civil Rights Movement, the shaming, the bullying, all the things that are taking place today against white people. And I'm not a black white supremacist. I'm a person who believes in the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. I believe in civil rights laws. I don't believe anyone should be discriminated against because of the color of their skin. That includes white people.
Well, and we've seen time and time again that actually the most wealthiest, the highest income, highest household income, they're actually Asian Americans. They actually exceed white Americans over and over.
Well, they're being discriminated against as well.
Right.
I mean, it's just such a reversal for our society. And one of the things that's troubling is the historical revisionism. And that is something that's destructive to our society, because every nation needs to remember its past. And America is not an evil country. America is a great country where so many people have risked their lives to come here to live. And all of a sudden, we're destroying our country from within.
And tell our viewers who don't know about your story about what happened at Vanderbilt University.
Oh, I don't want to go into detail about that. I took early retirement from the university. After having been a professor for 28 years, I taught at Princeton. I was tenured there early. I've won national prizes. I've been cited by the U.S. Supreme Court. But I became a Christian conservative late in my life, in my 40s, and my whole world changed. And all of a sudden, the world changed for people like me. And eventually, I left the university environment because of what it had become. What I experienced was not particular to Vanderbilt. Universities have been taken over in a way that's detrimental to the whole process of education. They're no longer marketplaces for ideas. And what is taking place on college and university campuses, including some Christian ones, is totally the opposite of what you would expect. And it's because of critical theory, which is related to cultural Marxism and the decline of our society.
Do you think that universities, because theoretically it was supposed to be about a free exchange of ideas, that by doing so, people who are classical liberals, and by that I mean people who are classically open to a debate, that they open the door, because a lot of these ideas, the Marxism that you're talking about, they wouldn't be necessarily, something culturally that would fit in America, but because universities were allowed to have these ideas, that those ideas then took over, and now they're doing the reverse, that they're not allowing that idea to be challenged.
You're absolutely right. I hadn't thought of it that way, but yes, universities, they had their Marxist professors, but what happened, I blame Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. Those Marxists infiltrated institutions. They used deception, manipulation. They worked their way to the top of corporations, universities, schools, and even some church denominations, and they have taken over. They are destroying our society. And one of the things with this election and the controversy about the election, the civil rights laws, the Voting Rights Act, minorities are being used to destroy this society, to lower standards, and you see affirmative action even in the voting, that all of a sudden minorities, black people, are supposed to be too stupid to know how to fill out a ballot, so you have to lower the standards. And that's why in Georgia and places like that, they don't want to verify signatures. They have a double standard when it comes to voting. That's unacceptable in America.
All right, Dr. Carol Swain, we appreciate it. We always appreciate your perspective.
Thank you.
And make sure to check out her podcast, Conversations with Carol Swain, and also her media company, Be the People News. And stay with us, folks. Maggie is going to be back on the couch. She was out at the Trump rally over the weekend. We'll hear what she has to say. Stay with us.